What's up, everybody? We are live from the Licking Miami Gardens, hour 2 of the Miami Hurricanes-Florida Gators pregame show, as we are every Saturday, live from the Licking Miami Gardens. You guys see the address down at the bottom of the street of the stream right there, 17647 Northwest 27th Ave, right down the street from the stadium. So I know you guys are gonna get out there, want to tailgate and all that before. Hang out with us here. We'll be here until about 5:30 or so. Our food's about to be on the way. Tayleen's about to
a little
bring
distracted. A little distracted by the broccoli. A little distracted by the yams. I know you're distracted by those lamb chops. So
Yeah.
we'll
But
focus.
she did say, when she took orders, says the regulars today.
Oh, she already knows.
So she knows the deal from us. And we here we go. We got some. We got some
enemies
people
coming in here.
Yeah, I don't know, man. The blood's maybe running a little hot now.
This is a big Canes stronghold. I was just talking to Kellen Wiley's parents. They're fired up. A lot of Canes fans in the building right now. But, we got some Gators now starting to filter in. So the tension is starting to rise. Although I got to say, I sense a lot of timid feelings from the Gators right now. A little spiritually defeated, but we all know what happens. Good drive, they're back in it. So we gotta put them to bed here. I'm sensing a little spiritual defeat there, Ruben.
Spiritual defeat?
From the blue side.
I'm walking in with my head high now. First time at the Licking, I'm showing my colors.
The Gator fans, as D is taking his early shots, and we have another Gator fan in the building here who, you guys might remember from last year. He was on our pregame show. Some may call him the good luck charm. And we're gonna bring Big E on in a second here. But how are we feeling, D? We had that emotional end to college game day there. Not emotional, but everyone was so pumped up, and we had the instant reaction, so to speak, right away when we had our first hour here. But what's your energy level at right now? I've been pretty calm this week. Yeah. I'm getting excited because it's live at the Licking right now. You
exactly.
Hear the music going. So
the energy. The
energy in the building it's nice right now. So I think it's raised in that aspect, but I'm calm right now. I feel good.
The vibes are immaculate, and a lot of people are reading into me picking Miami only to win by 3. I'm not basing off anything I know about Miami. You guys see the same team that I do. I think we're great. I think the Gators stink. I said they stunk the whole time. All offseason, I said they were bad. All offseason, I said their decision to not go in the portal was going to get Billy fired. So I'm not really singing a different tune about them. I just am cautious because I know college football. Maybe I'm just having some PTSD. I've been accused of that. Could be. Miami needs to take care of business. It is essential with the vibes where they're at. This was an incredible advertisement for the University of Miami College game day. You cannot have a better advertisement. McAfee finished this strong there, but just in general, it couldn't have been better. It couldn't look better. It was cloudy during the week. The day was perfect. Not cloudy in the sky. So now the hard part, maybe the easy part, we'll find out, is here tonight with the game. So Miami's got to take care of business. I'm nervous just because of the flow of college football, all that kind of stuff. But if we're talking actual football and the matchups, I've been clear all year. I think the two teams are on totally different levels of talent, structure, coaching, you name it. So hopefully that prevails. It should be. That's why the money's on Miami. And, counting down the minutes. But it's starting to get a little bit exciting in here.
Yeah, we're watching this Clemson-Syracuse game as well. Syracuse up by 10 right now, heading into what looks like halftime here. We got the mystery.
The mystery juice is
coming into the building. Those things are delicious.
Thank you, Taylene.
Last week we got the Licking water. Look at this. Look at the Licking branded water.
Star of the show, Taylene, working hard.
So, and we got the food on the way now here in a minute. So, remember, you guys see the Licking Miami follows up there. So, and the Licking Miami Gardens. But the mystery drinks are fire, as Canes Cats Heat 305 said as well. He's been telling me to get on them. I had one last week with a little extra stuff in it as well, and it was a good time.
So a lot of questions about the injuries to UF's defensive linemen. So we talked about this at the top of the show. Last year, UF had Caleb Banks healthy, Gums. I think he was healthy in that game. I believe he was healthy in that game. They had Searcy, Collins. These are guys that went to Alabama and Texas A&M respectively. Jack Pyburn went to LSU, started for LSU on the team that beat UF last week. Defensive tackle Robinson, I forget his first name, who went to North Carolina for a lot of money to start for them, was going to start for the Gators or at least be a big part of their rotation. Moreau, who's out now. So the team that we are facing defensively on the front has only lost. They've only lost players, and the team that had all the players last year was completely humiliated at home up front. So you look at that matchup, and it obviously on paper should be a bloodbath. But we know college football, we know how it is. So that's why on paper, that matchup is the one that really does not bode well for the Gators. Their pass rush struggled significantly last week against LSU. Only 3 pressures in the game. Struggled also against USF, which, of course, does not have the offensive line horsepower neither team that Miami has, that UF saw last year. So on paper, that matchup should define the game in a favorable way to Miami, but that's why they play the game.
Yeah, so here's Pete Thamel reporting it this morning about George Gums. We're going to find out a little bit more about, what they're missing there in a second here when we bring our friend Eric Esteban on, dude.
And the truth is, I think if Gums played this game, he would have been, gum on the bottom of Francis Malinois's shoe. But he was their best pass rusher, so that didn't help them. Even though, again, I don't think that matchup would have been particularly daunting for Miami's offensive line. But again, we'll have to see.
Phil makes a great point. I always appreciate your support, Phil. Saying really understated that they never saw Bain in the game last year.
It's true. It's true. And really didn't see
Messidor. We didn't talk about that at all. I didn't personally mention that at all.
No. And we also didn't see Messidor at defensive end. So Messidor played tackle in that game. They really couldn't run the ball in that game. They struggled. They had the one long run on the edge where we missed the gap. They made a big play. But like on a down-to-down basis, they weren't running the ball very well. And that was with Messidor at the tackle. So they couldn't really move him. Now you move Messidor to defensive end. He slims down, but still a big defensive end. That's a matchup that's very favorable, I think, to Miami. The defensive ends against Florida's offensive tackles. It's a highly rated offensive line. I know Austin Barber is a pretty good player, so you got to deal with him at left tackle. But again, you're talking about a pretty good player against top 5 player in the country. And then the other side with the right tackle, I just don't believe he's a very good player. That's been a weak spot at Florida for a few years now. So Messidor, if he lines up on that side, he's going to have a tremendous advantage. If Bain lines up on that side, it'll be, an overwhelming advantage for the Miami Hurricanes. So, yeah, on paper, the trenches look like a mismatch. But college football, I got to keep going back to that. If you're wondering why my picks are the way they are, it's not because of anything that really they're doing. It's more just about the vibes. That Virginia Tech game last year against when Kyron Jones looked like Cam Newton, that one's kind of sticking with me. Now, I think Virginia Tech last year had more talent than UF has this year. They had Tudin. They had a left tackle who's going to go first round in the draft. They had 2 better pass rushers than anybody on Florida this year. They had better secondary. Virginia Tech actually had more talent. Similarly, had a coach that was on his way to being fired. But I do see similarities in that game to this one. That was a night game as well. Miami was flying high. So that's a game that kind of sticks in my head while we're watching this one.
D, don't listen to us on, telling you guys to come to the licking. Listen to Canes legend Brian McKinney, who you see the tweet right here. He says he'll be at the Lick in Miami Gardens today at 3 p.m. with us. So excited to be joined by Brian McKinney in about an hour plus here, live from the Lick in Miami Gardens.
Live from the Lick in. I think Markel Bell's going to want to be performing like a Brian McKinney there, going against this depleted UF defensive line. Tyreek Sapp's going to be the guy that presents a problem for other teams. I think that's the guy that you're going to really watch and say, he's the one you can't let beat you. If you need to help on him, I guess you help on him. But I don't know if he's that caliber of player. I think you can kind of deal with him without that and get more guys into the route. But we'll see. We'll see what happens with that one. But that's going to be the key matchup of the game. Our front against their front on both sides of the ball. And I think Miami favors Miami in both aspects. So we'll see. We're gonna bring on our boy here. He's not ready.
Yeah,
he's not ready for the smoke.
You ready to go? All right,
He stays ready. Doesn't have to get ready.
I'm gonna mic you up here, and then D and I are gonna be sharing a mic. But you just clip it.
Let's go. All right. So last year we brought on this guy.
How you doing, man?
Fox Sports, Valley Sports, all over the media world. He came in here. He was telling me about Arlis Boardingham being better player than Elijah Arroyo. I'm not sure Arliss Boardingham is still playing this sport of football. Perhaps he is. I don't know where that would be. Shout out to Arliss Boardingham. We also heard about this dominant defensive front, which I don't believe touched Cam Ward at any point during the proceedings. And we heard about Graham Mertz protecting the football. He left the game and went straight to the Shands Trauma Center. So we'll talk to the legendary Shades Indoors. They called him Tenacious E in college. Now they just call him Eric Esteban. Eric, how we doing, baby?
Good to see you, man. Good to see you. Good to be here. Game day. We made it.
How are we feeling, man? You feeling as good as last year?
No, lies were told last year. I'm not telling as many lies this year, to be quite honest. But no, I'm feeling good. It's game day. You know, I'm not going to let Billy Napier ruin my fall. I'm still coming out here to have a good time. It's in my backyard. Hard Rock's been good to me in the past. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Is this the pink slip game? That's what a lot of Canes fans have been referring to it as.
I was just talking about that with my boy Rubes, who's off camera here, and I don't think so. I think we got room to burn here. I think Billy's got plenty of not plenty of runway, but again, the schedule is so unforgiving. Like, why now? You know, like Texas is waiting. Texas A&M after that. I don't think it makes any reason to do it right now. So let's see.
I heard there were a lot of players-only meetings. There were 40 players-only lunches and dinners, according to the report on College Game Day. Some Dragonfly was being shared, some Dragonfly sushi.
Wow.
So that volume of players-only meeting, I've seen that before. We've seen it with the Miami Dolphins. Where you at with DJ Lagway here?
Yeah, you know, Sonny must have been running the OD catering to cover that bill. No, Lagway, you know, I'm not surprised by what we saw out of Lagway, what we're seeing out of Lagway. I was one of those in the camp that what we saw this offseason in spring and him not throwing, you know, I was worried. I was concerned, and I think you're seeing the results of that bear fruit here. You know, you go into Death Valley, and that result did not surprise me. You know, some of those picks, he was just winging it out there. So, no, not surprised by any of it. I still think that he could turn it on and turn around the corner, but it kind of was what it was last week. After you throw 4 or 5 in Death Valley, that's your welcome to the SEC moment. That's your welcome to college football this year. So we'll see. You know, the Sharks are going to be circling, I'm sure, in your secondary today for him.
What are the vibes with the fan base right now? I know you're talking to Hollywood Bob. I know you're all over the boards. What are the vibes with the University of Florida fan base right now?
Shout out Hollywood. No, I mean, look, people are upset. It's not acceptable to start 1-3. The USF, you know, loss just broke the back for a lot of people. You know, the shades of last year. Thought we would turn the corner. So no, the seat is hot, and rightfully so. And we'll see. You're going to see some blue today, right? I think you're going to see Gator fans in the crowd today. I wouldn't be surprised to see that. So, but no, I think that people want to see some wins, and if Billy can't take it, you got to see what happens.
I'm not sure if you've seen the back and forth this week between D and I on Jaden Ball.
Okay.
No, you haven't.
Let me hear it.
So he fancies Jaden Ball as an average SEC back. And not only, I mean, like, that's not even the bad part about it. He just was like very dismissive of him. And I actually defended him and said, I'm a fan of his. I think he's a legit back, and if he was running behind Miami's O-line, but he was very dismissive of him. My question before we even get to Jaden Ball, like, no one hates the Gators more than this guy.
No,
right?
I'm aware.
Like,
We've talked about it. It's deep rooted there. He's seen some things over the past 20 years. You know.
Now, with that being said, like, I don't know that I've ever actually seen him give credit to a Gator player, so he's not going to give Bob, much respect. But talk to me about him and where you stand on Jaden Ball.
No, I'll stand on Ball. I said I wasn't going to tell any lies, and here I am, calling him one of the best backs to run through Florida in recent years. Pound for pound, the best guy on the team is what they say. The coaches say that. He's shown it these past 2 weeks. He's opened up the season with where he left off last year. He's honestly one of the best guys on the team. There is a lot of things have to happen today for Florida to win this game. Maybe like it has to rain frogs being one of them. But one of the things that has to happen is Ball runs the ball. Ball runs the ball for over 100 yards. That's one of the keys to the game for Florida to win the game. I don't think it can necessarily happen, but I think he needs to be fed that much. They need to see that success on the ground. I do think he's one of the best backs in the SEC. I think the season will show because he's going to go against some of the best teams in the SEC, and he showed it. So far, you have a 2-week sample size, 3-week sample size where he's flashed, but again, they go away from him. instead of feeding a guy like that, you go away from him. So he hasn't been able to really showcase everything he can do. So we'll see how he does today. Miami defense has been standing on business, so far. So it'll be interesting. This great wall of Florida, all the snaps they have, they're going to have their work cut.
They're calling it.
That's what they built it up to be, right? All these snaps that they returned. They have talent up there. They have guys returning. I'm a fan of Slaughter. I'm a fan of Barber. But there's been some rotation there, and those guys need to live up to some of those snaps in that SEC hype and give ball those lanes.
Yeah, I was going to ask about the trenches matchup. So both sides. We'll talk the offensive line, which got a lot of hype before the season. I mean, I think they're good, but I just don't think their bodies are equivalent to what you're seeing in Miami. I think you have good players that are well coached, just aren't as big. And then, but Miami has the big guys.
Yeah.
Defensively, I don't see it. I know you guys got some guys out on the defensive line, but who needs to step up on the defensive line, and how good can this offensive line be?
Sure. Two things on the defense. I mean, you and I talked 2 weeks before the season at the Matthew draft, and you said you didn't see it. That Florida lost all these guys. And what'd you do? What'd you guys do? You didn't replace them, yada yada. And so far, we're 2 to 3 weeks into the season, and it is kind of showing that you were right there. At least the way that I feel. You saw Pyburn last week all over the field making plays. You take that. The narrative that you were saying before the season, and then you compound that with the fact that Florida's coming in down 4 guys who were starting at the beginning of the year. LJ McCray, who is out. The news that Gums is going to be out. As much as I've heard you make fun of him in the past, he's somewhat a guy who could be a difference maker. He's going to be out. So Florida Barreau, another guy in the middle, and then Banks comes in. Unfortunately, he's going to be out too. So Florida is down up front, and that obviously doesn't bode well against Miami's offensive line, which last year showed what they can do against this Florida front. I mean, I look at last year's matchups, Mayoga versus Sapp. That was a non-starter. Florida's going to be starting a true freshman in Jaden Woods. You're going to see him playing. He looks the part, but he's a true freshman. But there's going to be some rotation there. There's going to be some new guys. Brendan Bett, he's a guy who caught the personal foul in week 1. He's going to be playing a lot. So it's going to be a long day for Florida, I think, up front. I think that one of the other things for Florida to win is they got to get to Beck. And I just don't see how that happens. Obviously we saw it last year, and Florida fans were running that tape all off season of Becca in Georgia, throwing those picks against Florida. I probably racked up 1,000 views myself. But I just don't. I don't see how they get that pressure with that front 4. They're going to have to throw some blitzes. I like Florida's linebackers a lot. That's probably one of the strengths of the defense there. So maybe some of those guys pop, but they're going to have to play a bunch of guys up front.
I'm curious, how do the vibes compare this year to last year? The team did not start all too well. The narrative was they stayed together for Billy. They played hard for him, and I don't think it was a narrative. I think that was obviously what happened on the field.
Yeah.
This year, it's earlier in the season, but I think to me, from the outside looking in, the Lagway performance last week has really put more of a damper on the situation at this point, because at least last year you could say, hey, we got Lagway here. We're
sure.
leaning on him, or you can kind of turn the page to him through Mertz's injury. So how would you compare the vibes now to when they turned it around last year?
I think there's a little bit of that sentiment out there right now. But what was I going to say?
The energy doesn't sound good, man.
No, I was going to say that I think that what you saw last week against LSU, what I saw was a Florida team that showed up. Yeah. They were in that game. I mean, right? Even with the Frita Fest that Lagway was throwing up, Florida was in that game. It wasn't, the final score wasn't anything blowout. You guys were probably watching it with one eye,
Yeah, no. You guys were in it. Defense was in it.
So the fact that they showed up and they responded to that USF freaking that they shit the bed. Part of my language. I don't know if we could curse on this show.
You're the one that's Fox Sports, personality.
All right, bleep it out, run it back. I didn't mean to say that, but no, the fact they responded, the fact they showed up against LSU, I don't think this team by any means is there yet. They still have too much in front of them to kind of go that way. So not too much that. Players only meeting goes a long way.
Players only meeting goes a long way. DJ Dinner, I got a quick update here on the Miami Beach Bulldogs playing the Miami Stars 11U. So first at bat, E-Money goes up. They read the scouting. The first pitcher read the scouting report, 4 straight balls. He didn't want to mess around. The second pitcher obviously did not read the scouting report, had a man on third, threw something over the plate. And from what I could see on Game Changer, went into right field at a pretty high velocity and brought home the runners. So we were 1 for 1 here with an RBI. Miami Beach Bulldogs up 8-2 over the Miami Stars. Miami Stars, get your guys to read the scouting report. The first guy read it, threw the ball. Second guy, don't put over the plate. It's going to get hit into the outfield. So that's what's going on. But just again, I'm hearing reports out of Gainesville. Some sources, you may know Kribby, the Walter Cronkite of the game.
I actually do know Kribby.
I know you do. He lives in Gainesville, small business owner, stud. He says that the vibes are real bad right now. Toxicity, talk radio, it's bad. I know I've asked this already, but I'm poking at this.
No.
What is that seeped into the players? Or I know you're into social media. I know you see little subtweets and things of that nature, Instagram posts by parents. I know you're in that world. You're clued in. Is that kind of stuff creeping in? What's the scoop on all that?
I think that's par for the course. I don't think it's going to be there. Now, let's see today, right? If things take a turn for today and this plays out how it did last year, you're going to see some vibes. There's not going to be any bushes for the Gator players to jump in and hide. I think that how they respond today, because today they have every motivation. Even though they're coming in down on the D-line, they're over a touchdown, coming in underdog. They have every reason, every motivation to come in today after what happened last year in the swamp and at least fight back, right? You think you're going to see some of that out of this team. Maybe they come out early. If you don't see a spark out of them early, I think it speaks volume. But no, I expect them today to at least have a little bit of that. Hopefully it doesn't come with personal fouls from spitting in another player's face at the wrong time. But no, I think that they have every motivation today. I don't think the toxicity level is there or any higher or any different than it has been. You guys know how it is in Gainesville. I know the Gator Tears thread. I've seen the over.
Did you see they had Gator? They had a graphic on SportsCenter that said Gator Tears, and I was wondering if it had anything to do with.
I've peeked in there. I've dropped a tear or two. So I think that's just par for the course. I think that how they respond today is going to say a lot.
What's your read personally on the Lagway situation? I call it a situation, but it's really just him not playing well, which has led to the offense not being efficient.
I'm seeing the big old Gator tear right now. Look at that. I should have worn my jorts today. That was the only thing I was missing. I could have come down the green lot, stunning in my jorts, and here I am. Instead, no. Look, I said it. Lagway is just.
This was not to cut you off, but this article was, as Yo says, he says that CBS article was not a good look. I mean, that was the thing that kind of sounded some alarms for me.
Is that the Richard Johnson, the one by?
Richard Johnson. Yeah,
that one. Yeah, I read that one. It had a bunch of his coaches in there. Yeah, again, I have zero insight into.
There was. Sorry, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that was on SportsCenter this morning. That was the graphic they used. Look at that.
Well, me personally, I'm a big noon kickoff guy, so I can't speak for this one. I'm a big noon kickoff guy.
Shout out Bear Felipe.
Yeah, shout out to the Bear. Shout out Rob Stone, the whole crew, the very best out there. No, we're gonna see on Lagway again. I said it. I was one of the ones who was concerned. I was in the concern camp. I didn't think there was anything normal or encouraging about him sitting out the whole spring. I have zero insight into what the actual deal is with him, but then the reports of the leg injury. We're gonna see how he responds today. I think you're gonna see perhaps a more frisky Lagway. Maybe that's a little nugget for you.
That's what I'm worried about. I mean, if I'm the Gators, I'm letting Lagway throw down the field. Let me ask you this, because I'm really curious about this. So me, as someone who I think Lagway is good and I want him to be bad, so I watch him say, I don't want him to do this because this could hurt us. If I'm playing Lagway, I don't want him to throw the ball down the football field. I would like to see him dink and dunk his way up the field. That to me seems like a better option for the defense because he's going to make a bad decision. He's going to take a sack. Something's going to happen as opposed to he throws it down the field. He could get a pass interference. He could throw a perfect pass like he did on that corner route against LSU. He's got fast receivers. We love Vernell Brown. I think he's one of the best players in the country going forward. Wish we had him at UM.
Yep.
Maybe at this season, after the season, he sends his resume. But, to me, that's how I would play Lagway. That's why I don't want Miami to have to deal with him. If he's doing short passes, it's doing us a favor. Why have they been so dink and dunk with DJ Lagway?
I agree with you. I don't know why they've been dink and dunk with him. There's been an affinity for a bubble screen. I think if they throw one more bubble screen to Eugene Wilson, I got to see it work at some point.
It's like Zook era. Weren't you guys complaining about the bubble screens back in Zook era?
Yeah, no, but at least those would go crazy. Like you had Chad Jackson like freaking running down the field on those. But no, I think that there's been some confusion there. I wish I could speak to some of it. Darnell Brown's going to get peppered today, both by Lagway and possibly by some of the safeties that I'm sure are going to be waiting on him. But there's been a lot of tight end passes. It could probably do with 4 or 5 less tight end passes.
Hey, the Canes fans would say, let us get those because they want the tight end to get the ball more.
Look, I mean, we have I really like Amir Jackson. Again, he's another guy that you guys were high on at tight end, but he's our tight end 3. They have Tony Livingston and Hayden Hansen, 2 of these guys who, can make some catching balls, but like they're throwing them these crazy post routes, and it's just like that's not them. Like you have all these guys on the outside. Like, let them go make plays. Aiden Mizell, like last week, was one of our best graded players at wide receiver. He's a speedster. He can get behind the defense. Like you said, let him throw the ball. So, again, I think that if one of the ways Florida wins today is with a more frisky Lagway, that could mean a lot of things. I think that maybe you see him, showcase a little bit of his skill set. If not, it could be a long day for him.
Yeah, I mean, when you talk about that, I think you're most likely alluding to his not only the downfield, the big arm, but his ability to use his legs, which, again, not to speculate, but D and I have sat here the last month watching these games here at the Licky Miami Gardens, and he may be a little heavy. We've heard stuff about rumors about the calf injury. And listen, we're very coy with the injury stuff, so you don't have to give us everything.
I see you. You guys are Siamese cats over here.
Listen, it's not for. Listen, don't feel too special. It's not because of you. It's the way that we have to be here when it comes to injuries. But it's at the same time though. He doesn't look to be moving the same way.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I saw the same kind of just not that full speed that you would expect out of a healthy DJ Lagway. So I'm not going to speculate, but I think that hopefully today you see, Gator fans are hoping to see someone who's got a little more pep in the step.
Maybe Lagway would be in a little better condition if he called the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute. Because if you consider yourself an athlete, do you consider yourself an athlete or an active guy?
Me, every day.
You probably know how hard it is to sit on the sidelines, deal with an injury or pain. Maybe you try to hack your own rehab a little bit. YouTube some remedies.
Okay, yeah.
Compromising your movement or performance is not an option. I know you don't want to compromise your peak performance.
Never.
Call the University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute, whether it's elite competition, like the University of Miami sidelines, or just your average Joe, like E. The University of Miami Sports Medicine Institute is the trusted choice for those who demand excellence. Set your appointment today, uhealthsports.com. I'm actually watching Utah. They stole our U. They're calling they have U Health on their field. I mean, as we saw with game day, there is only one U. The branding is pretty clear on the game day segment with the one U is. Oh,
hey, D,
please.
I want to give a shout out while I have the floor here. We're
Please.
giving all this love. I want to give a shout out to my sister-in-law,
Oh,
Ceci
the best.
Esteban, Coach Ceci. I know that she's highly regarded over there. I just want to say all my best to her. She gave a heck of a performance. The cheerleading team looked great out there today on game day. So shout out to Ceci. We're going to see what happens after today. But
They were dialed.
they were dialed in.
How you do anything is how you do everything. The cheerleading has elevated along with the rest of the program. Shout out to Ceci. Shout out, by the way, me and her both spoke on a panel inspiring the youth, the high school students.
Love that.
She was phenomenal. I was mediocre at best, but shout out to that whole operation. Every part of it's got to look a certain way, and I think the cheerleading and the dance teams are looking a certain way, as are the big boys in the trenches, Cece Malinois, Markel Bell. You know the names. So real quick, just going forward, I saw speculation here. We're here with Ruben in the crowd. He says there's nothing he loves more than a coaching search. He's had the privilege of watching a lot of coaching searches after seasons this poor. So what are some names that the Gators are talking about? Gator fans are in the group chats blowing up. I'm seeing Dabo in the group in the live chat here.
Here's what I got on Dabo.
Let's go.
I don't see Dabo going to UF. I see Dabo going to Bama.
Ooh, okay.
I think that's a quick call. If it doesn't go right for DeBoer, he goes down. I think that he's on line one. If Swinney's available, he goes right back to Bama and he takes his program, his playbook, and takes it there. So outside of that, I mean, Rubes and I were talking to drive up here. The Lane Kiffin name is back out there right after Florida beat them last year, and they were done with them. It seems to be a popular name still on the boards. You know, I'm not quite sure who else could be out there. Charlie Strong, maybe. Brent Key. I mean, I'm not in the hot board. I'm not in the hot board game
I think
yet.
Brent Key, that's not a name that I mean, he's a Georgia Tech guy, but
Okay.
But you see the trenches at University of Miami, how that standpoint has allowed the rest of the team to flourish. So, you know, I could see that being an option. Yeah, Lane, you know, you guys love Spurrier so much. That was such a popular name. I know you were there for the Urban years and the later Zook years, but that was a hot name. So we'll see. We'll see if that could be something that works out there.
We'll see. We'll see.
Give me a guy we're not talking about that we should be talking about for this game from a Gator perspective.
Ooh. Maybe a guy, not so much that you should be talking about, but I do want to give a shout out to Cormani McClain starting at corner. I mean, some crow. Do they serve crow here at the Lickin'? I mean,
Hold on.
I mean, like, look.
I said this week. I was like,
I mean, you guys didn't have him on the team. But
I never said anything bad about the kid. I like. No. Me personally, him, I can't speak for. But you know, I just think that it's good to see the guys turned it around.
I agree. If nothing else,
It's. I don't. Are we saying he's a lockdown corner? Is that how you're
I'm saying
talking?
he's starting
or-
at defensive back at the University of Florida, which I mean, a year ago you couldn't say that his trajectory was looking that way. So just the fact he's in there, you know, is playing. I just want to.
I think I was asking about your personal confidence level and
Cormani?
more than anything. Yeah.
You know, I was a little worried about the corners coming into the season. I think so far this year they've shown to kind of actually be more than okay. Devin Moore, Dijon Johnson's been great. I mean, eventually the future looks bright. My boy Ben Hanks, don't come knocking on his door. He's off limits. You know, so Florida has actually done okay there at defensive back. So we'll see at corners. Cormani, I'm just happy to see him out there. Let's see how he does back at Hard Rock.
Shout out to the lovely Taylene, the greatest waitress on the planet. I mean, again, this place is top to bottom. You guys were already experienced it. I'm going to lose you now that you're smelling the food. So I got to keep you for a second
It's
here.
calling my name over there.
Well, Carmani, I would say this, you know, in the land of the blind, the man with one eye is king. So, you know, given the lack of talent in the Gators defensive back room, well, look, at least that's how I perceive it.
How dare you?
You tell me, how is the talent in the Gator defensive back room? Because, I mean, I remember even when you had some bad teams, your corners were usually pretty good, high-end safeties, even like Muschamp, the teams that were not great, they were pretty good in those categories. I haven't seen that secondary really get tested a ton. So you tell me, how good are they?
It's going to be interesting today. Today's going to be, I mean, look, they got out LSU holding those guys down and Nussmeier and holding those guys within control. They give up a broken pass, a broken play against USF, which was a communication issue. So I think they've actually more than held their own, not surprisingly, but I was very interested to see how they play. So far, I think they've really performed well so far this season. But today will be as big a test as they've had.
So, a couple more things before we let you go here is the food. I know D's wanting to get into it. I know mine should be getting here in a second.
Is that some teriyaki over there?
You got some
tuna?
Yeah, it looks some salmon. It looks like some little. Oh, the yams might be what you're smelling. Oh yeah, that's the yams there. But so, I guess we've been grilling you here. There's still a question to you. But what have your thoughts been on the Canes so far this year? What's the UF perspective looking at Miami going into this one?
Look, I have the memory of a field mouse. So last year is 41-17. In today, gone tomorrow. I've already forgotten about that. But some things do scar and some things stay in mind, So with that in mind off last year and seeing how UM's performed this year, clearly they stocked the cupboard at defensive back, which you saw coming in with a bunch of those NIL deals. And so a bunch of those guys have performed, right? You see the Scott kid making plays. The kid from Wisconsin, he's in there. There's the other kid, Brantley. I mean, all these guys that you guys kind of zeroed in on and honed in on have panned out at your biggest weakness at DB so far. You're going to see some good tests here from some of these UF receivers. Like hopefully, again, Brown is going to separate a little bit, Mizell. Otherwise, again, I think Florida is in for a long day. Ruben Bain, he looks like he's 38. He plays like he's 28. And he's going to do Ruben Bain things today. I mean, like, I don't know what you want me to say as a Gator fan, seeing some of the things I've seen. And, you know, I've long been a fan of how Mario kind of recruited this team. You know, D, we've talked about the trenches for a long time. And so I think they've built an overall strong program. And now Beck, you know, I was very curious to see how that was going to pan out, skeptical. And so far, he's been every bit the part with an O-line that is doing everything that they did last year with Ward, right? Kept him clean, let him throw the ball. So I see the blueprint in Coral Gables. I can't say it's making me do backflips, but, you know, what am I going to say? We'll see how it goes today.
The administration for the Gators, what kind of heat are they getting from the fan base? I know Strickland they just won a championship in basketball, but we all know football is kind of what drives the show out there. So what's the stance of Gator fans towards the administration, the way they're spending money, the collective, kind of the non-Napier portion of this deal?
I think Gator fans make noise, and they're always going to make noise. I mean, there is a sector of Gator fans that are on Strickland's back. But, I mean, in my eyes, in my opinion, he's a Teflon Don. I mean, look, we just won a natty in basketball.
I'm jealous. I'm jealous of that. I can't. I'm very jealous of that.
Again, those things are, you know, you can't discount those things. You know, there's still a lot of detractors for him, and you know, if all of a sudden he's going to be tasked with hiring a third head coach, you know, that could be a big fork in the road, you know, for any Gator fans who may be on the fence about him. But no, I think that he's cool as a cucumber. You know, the UF program is the train ain't stopping. I mean, like, I think that they're doing okay. They're investing in the swamp. You know, they're investing in football. They're investing in still in all sports. You know, UF still very much runs a state.
And what?
What? I'm about to run out of here.
Run down the list. How's the women's track team doing? Phenomenal.
Hey, listen,
the women's triple jump is looking good.
Natty's on natties in track and field. You guys know how we do. No.
Whole ball looking a certain way.
I'm a hardwood, baby. I heard we're looking great in basketball. We'll save that for the next time I'm down here. But so far, the rumor is Golden has those guys shining, getting ready for
playing Jacksonville this year.
Okay, there we go. Let's take it to the landings. Yeah. No, there's no the landing. All right, tell me the landings are gone. So no Hooters at the landings. All right, we'll figure it out. We'll find somewhere in Jacksonville with the Folgers factory, maybe. We'll make it happen.
George Valero saying, wait, that's not Mike Ryan. Holy moly. I got to say, the person who sits next to me at the Canes games, I didn't even know he watched the show. I sat next to him for all these games. He turns to me. The first thing he says about the show to me in many games is, when are you getting your boy on from UF? When are you getting your boy on from UF? Then I texted you. So I know you're highly regarded by the Canes fans. You got almost 1,000 on here as we get to the 37-minute mark. So as we get into the game even further, you know what? Let's pause the game for a second. Because I know you're a guy that's big on home decor. Every time I go to your house for the fantasy football draft, the place looks absolutely phenomenal.
Thank you.
The details. You rented a place last time. I didn't even know what that was because it was like, was it a recording studio that we went to the fantasy draft last time?
We went to the House of Music. Shout out to House of Music on Airbnb when we rented it out for our fantasy draft. It was spectacular. It hosted over 24 goons in 48 hours, and it stood the test.
I got to say, the address was in the middle of nowhere. My wife saw the address, and she's like, do you have a drug or gambling problem that I don't know about that you're keeping secret? Why are you going to these strange places? I'm like, I'm going to a recording studio to draft, T. Higgins. The team's not doing too phenomenal right now, so we got some work to do.
You frequented Pinolandia. You've hung around Versailles enough. Like, you know those parts. It is tucked in there. That was in that Grapeland Heights.
Grapeland Heights is that's where E-Money right now is playing his baseball. So I recognize that spot. But listen, if you want to spruce up your spot at home and look like $1 million, only one way to call, and that is the OrchidMan, #1 landscape artisan in the state of Florida, South Florida, up to the Keys, or down to the Keys, up to Palm Beach. Go to OrchidManFlorida.com. That's ORCHID manflorida.com. It's not just orchids. It is full landscape work, landscape artisans. They do the pretty work. They do the dirty work, sprinkler repair, fertilizing, tree stump grinding, tree trimming. They'll take care of you, make you look like $1 million, whether it is commercial property, residential property, OrchidManFlorida.com. If you need landscaping, this is who the top dogs get, the coaches, the people with money. It's not expensive. It is high quality, affordable, but high end to the bone. OrchidManFlorida.com.
D, we had before we we'll let E go here and we'll wrap the stream up so we can eat our food here. But Big Papa says he has arrived at the Licking, and he says it best. If you are in the area and want some badass food, come to the Licking. The drinks hit the spot as well. So, again, don't hear from us. Big Papa, who's in the building, just said it. We got Bryant McKinney coming on at our 3 o'clock hour stream. So we're going to keep it going here at the Licking until about 5:30. Come check us out here. Hang out with us. Grab a bite to eat. Grab some food before you head over to the stadium. Appreciate you guys for tuning in this hour. E, appreciate you for being a good sport here.
Thank you guys. Shout
As
out to
always.
CanesInSight.
Thank you.
I would stay if I was you.
10 toes down. I'm just gonna stay. You got Tenacious E followed by Freddie T. Like the audience is in for a treat here. But no, shout out to your fans. You guys have been my boys for a long time, so I appreciate you letting me coming in, chop it up. I'm gonna be at Hard Rock tonight. You see me, say what's up, buy a drink, go Gators. Let's go. Let's go.